and the other person could have, let's say, a red mark or a scratch. Hey everybody, this is David Kohlmeier, the Problem Solver. How are you today? Welcome to the Problem Solver. Today, Danny Miner is the co-host.
Thank you, Dave, for inviting me again.
As usual. So today we are here every single week, Thursdays, approximately 4:30 as we go live. The goal is to solve problems, talk about what's going on in the community of Las Vegas or anywhere throughout the world. Today, I wanted to talk about just some various topics in general.
Okay.
Just kind of give a little bit of an update what's going on in regards to us in the show. First of all, we're in Las Vegas. If anyone's watching, because right now we have some other followers that are actually, believe it or not, like in Germany, Indonesia. Other people are watching in other countries.
Right.
Since we did the whole body in the barrel situation. But a quick update in regards to the body in the barrel situation since we made that challenge. A lot of people don't know that the Problem Solver show did a news release stating there was going to be a $5,000 challenge if they found the second body in a barrel. It was supposed to be a crime prevention initiative where people were going to go out that were specifically divers that we didn't want anyone to get hurt in general, and then go out, kind of a crime prevention initiative, kind of a search and rescue, initiative, a little bit of pressure on law enforcement. And then at the end, a lot of people don't know, when we did the news release on a Wednesday, Thursday, on Sunday, I get a phone call where they found the second body, which we never really discussed on the show, I believe. Right. We discussed the first body, but not the second body. And at this point in time, it's active investigation. They stated that they didn't suspect any foul play, but of course, right. There's just, bones and remains.
Right.
Question for you, Danny. What are your thoughts in regards to the second body situation? They found the remains, and then law enforcement, Las Vegas Metro, automatically states, like really, really quickly, they say that they feel there's no foul play. You were a detective and a cop for a long time, 27 years. What's your take on that? Is it a little too soon in regards to...
I think what they saw when they got the bones and everything, I believe that this is what I heard, and I'm just giving you rumors that I hear out there, that there was somebody that drowned there years ago and they never recovered the body. He was on a sailboat. So that's what I was hearing, and I think maybe that's what they think. This is the guy that drowned years ago because there was no signs of any kind of force on the bones. Where the other bones they found that there was a gunshot, stuff like that. And the clothes went back to the 70s or early 80s. With this one, I believe right away they knew this was possibly a drowning victim. They did find other bones at Lake Mead this week, but they were actually animal bones. But they did find bones. But I think as that lake goes down, we're going to find more things. I mean, you see the boats coming up, everything, sunken boats, everything. And the lake just keeps going down. It went down 6 feet this month.
It's 6 feet this month.
This month.
Because I think when we did this show originally, we mentioned 10 to 15 feet within like 30 days.
Yeah.
So it is about, I know a lot of times you're out there in Lake Mead, so it's about 6 feet within 1 month?
1 month, they're saying it went down another 6 feet. And they think it's going to go lower throughout the summer here.
Do they say do they think how much? I mean, is it 30 feet,
They don't know, but they said it's definitely going down. So I don't know what's going to happen. We got to come up with a plan, right? I mean, this takes care of water for California, Arizona, and Nevada. I mean, I don't know why nobody's panicking yet. I don't get it. Like, where's the governor? Is the governor saying anything on this? I mean, something's got to go.
I wanted to do more research because I've always heard that it was always a thing with Arizona that Lake Powell would be, higher, and then Vegas would be like lower,
right,
for like 10 years and 10 like it was some type of plan,
right.
I don't really know. I mean, I guess we really should get someone from the water department to find out like what's the plan.
Right.
I mean, do they just turn on a switch from somewhere else? I mean, that's why people always said there's not enough water. We keep building homes out here in Vegas,
right?
Like it's a problem, right? So I really don't know. I mean, no one's leaving Vegas anytime soon,
right?
But in regards to the second body, a lot of people don't realize that the body was actually found in a sandbar. When we spoke to the people that actually located that body, they said they were trying to do the $5,000 challenge. They were scuba diving and also snorkeling. They said it was unclear, the water.
Right.
And then what happened was they felt like, hey, let's just look in the sand. Let's start. I mean, it's weird. I mean, do we start digging around a little bit? So They decided to start digging around a little bit, and they start digging in an area that was a sandbar, and they locate this body. I just think it's a little weird for them just to start digging in random spots and just finding a body. The question is, how many spots are there that you start digging around, you find another body?
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. But I did hear, like I said, I heard that location is where somebody drowned years ago, and they never found the body. They found the boat. Of course, the boat was floating without him on it, so that could be the guy. But who knows? I don't know if you know this, Dave, but 23 people a year die at Lake Mead. I mean that's a lot of people. I mean, that's a dangerous
how many do
lake.
they recover?
That I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
so about 23 a year.
Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with people drowning before in police work. The body does sink, but the body usually comes up after about 5 days. I know this isn't something people want to hear, but it's true. In about 5 days, the body will come up, usually.
So in this situation, what people don't understand is that, like you say to yourself, like it's in the sand.
Right.
But technically the water was what, 200 to 300 feet higher. That was the floor. That was the floor of the actual of the lake.
Yes.
That was the floor bed, right?
Yes.
So the water is 200-300. So somehow, right, the body got stuck on the floor bed and with the sand,
right,
and got buried, right, through the water, through the whatever it is, the current, right? Somehow the drift and the current placed the bones in the actual sand.
Yes.
And then there was 300 feet of water. And when we had the diver here, he was saying that you really could only go about 100 to 120 feet. Maybe the max he's ever done with 200 with gas.
Right.
So to get to this location would be very, very difficult, especially if it was in the sand.
Yes.
Like it kind of got buried itself.
Yes.
I just personally think that for them to say automatically, law enforcement, that they don't believe this foul play right away, I just think it was a little too quick.
I thought it was quick too. They said it like the next day. I mean, how do you?
I mean, just because you don't see anything on the bones, but if I was to drown you, right?
Right.
And push you in the water, I mean, you're not going to see anything on your bones if there's no flesh. And then if someone got stabbed, right, and there's no flesh, you're not going to see that either.
Unless somehow they hit a bone.
How long do you think it takes for the DNA? I know it's specific DNA testing. You think it's a good 6 months to figure that out?
You mean to figure out if they can get DNA?
Well, I think no matter what, if there's teeth and there's bone,
they could get DNA.
They can get it, right?
Yeah.
But don't they have to have it it match up to somebody else? Like,
yes, yes.
Ancestry, stuff like that?
Yeah, I could tell you a quick story.
Yeah, please.
That, okay. I actually submitted, I had a burglary when I was a detective, right? And the guy burglarized this place of business, and he actually left a Pepsi soda can on the person's desk he burglarized, broke into it. So I took the can, I put it in a bag, I sent it in for a DNA test, and it sat there for 2 years because nobody had, if they don't have your DNA, this DNA means nothing if they don't have somebody to match it. Exactly. 2 years later, Dave, I get a call from somebody out in Midwest saying, we got a hit on that DNA sample that you had. Mm-hmm. And it was a guy they arrested, and then they took his DNA and happened to be a security guard of that business, and he was working there. So I solved the case with DNA. But it takes months. Like, we watch TV shows and we're like, oh, just got a call, the DNA's back. That's BS, okay? DNA don't come back in a half hour. DNA takes months to come back. Now, of course, they're going to have rapes and murders come back quicker. But on thefts, burglaries, stuff like that, it's going to take months and months because the crime labs are so filled with this stuff. You know what I mean? So it takes a long time. But I did solve a case with DNA, which is crazy.
The one time, I always remember the story, like someone was trying to break into a car and they put that when they were trying to push down the actual window, and then the fingerprints was on the interior of the window.
Yeah.
And I was able to get a print out here. At least in Henderson, a lot of patrol cops would actually do a lot of the crime scene stuff.
Right.
Would you do that where you were?
Yes.
Or did you call someone out?
Well, we would call somebody out if it was a big case. If not, we had like a patrol guy that did it. So like at night, if the detectives weren't there at night, the patrol guy that was certified in fingerprint would come out and do the processing. But I did most of it. The next morning, they would actually put the car somewhere in a garage. I'd come in the morning and say, hey, Sarge, the car's in the garage, and then I'd go process it.
Process it?
Yeah.
I used to laugh because in New York City, like you never process stuff as a patrol cop.
Right.
But out here, it was like 110 degrees, and I'm like going around with this kit, like it's a makeup kit, Got this black stuff all over the place. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, I went for like a 3-hour training class, and I got this black dust all over me in general. And then at the same time, I'm sweating, there's probably no air conditioning in the home. And I always felt like, to me, like you need a true expert, to go in there, right. Crime scene analysis, crime scene, in general. But for a regular patrol cop to do it, I think it's just kind of crazy. They should always have someone Because it's a big deal, right? If you can capture somebody that way through DNA or through evidence, but fingerprints. So I had the situation where the fingerprint did come back, but you do need that. Well, out here, I don't know how it is there, but they normally do, if it's a felony or gross misdemeanor, they do a DNA swab, right? So if someone gets arrested, a lot of people don't know that. They do a swab in your mouth to get your DNA.
Right.
Which is a really good question. I'm assuming they're gonna search it through other databases,
right?
But what's kind of interesting too, I just thought about it too, is that if they use your DNA and the case got dismissed, was it right that they use your DNA to search among other criminal cases?
Yeah.
If the case got dismissed, that means that you shouldn't have been there. Kind of like fruits of the poisonous tree, right? Like, should you take someone's DNA if the case got dismissed or thrown out,
right? Just
because they were arrested, right? Because anyone can get arrested doesn't mean that if the charges are going to stick.
All right.
Kind of an interesting question. So I guess for a criminal defense attorney.
But like you said, when people understand, hey, he was booked. When you're booked, right? Booking was always you're getting your mugshot and fingerprints. Now it's mugshot, fingerprints, and DNA. Because the DNA, to me, DNA is going to solve more cases than fingerprints. I mean, I was a cop for 27 years. I was a detective for 14. You know how hard it is to get a fingerprint? It's hard. People think it's very easy, but it's not. DNA is left everywhere. Me and you are leaving DNA as we speak. A hair, anything, spit, saliva, me and you drinking out of this glass. DNA is left everywhere. It has changed law enforcement. And when I first became a cop, we didn't even have DNA.
So how long do you think it'll take for the bones at Lake Mead for them to do that? You think it's 6 months?
I would say 6 months.
6 months, right?
That's my guess, at least 6 months.
I'm trying to get in touch with, it's called, I guess, Las Vegas Justice League, which is something new, where they're actually giving money to Metro in regards to help with DNA. Okay. And I think they want to be involved in it as well for this one. I think I reached out to them. I haven't heard back. I'd like for them to come on the show, talk about what they're doing. But it seems like there are people, business owners coming up with money to help with the DNA. I don't know what it costs to do it.
Right.
I mean, I'm assuming Las Vegas Metro has money to do it, but I guess it's a good way of extra funding if the private community wants to help out.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to actually have them on the show. They didn't get back to me in regards to that. All right, so just to recap, what are your thoughts in regards to other bodies? So if it's another, like how many more feet, this is actually a good guess. We should actually probably do like a little bit of a guessing game or a challenge as well. Like how many more feet does it going to go down where something else gets uncovered? Do you think it's another 10 feet?
I don't think it's going to be much. I really don't, because if you go to Lake Mead, and I go there a lot, you know that, I fish, I'm a big fisherman. The coves are getting dried up. I mean, they really are. It looks like it sooner or later, all the coves in Lake Mead, it's just going to be like a river soon, because all the coves are going to disappear. And it's really sad. So I don't think it's going to be long. Do I think other bodies are in there? Of course. Of course, it ain't the only mob body in there. If we're assuming mob, we're assuming mob. But I mean, this town has history. Let's be honest. We have the movie Casino. This town has mafia history. I am sure there is way more than one body in that lake, and I'm sure sooner or later we are going to find it.
So one of the things, again, I'll bring up because we didn't talk about it on the show, is that I did get a phone call from parks, park rangers.
Okay.
And they said to me that even though they heard about the challenge, about the money, but they said, like, listen, you need a permit in order to go down to dive, archaeological or for criminal activity.
Right.
You need to get a permit. Now, I think I was driving. I didn't take the guy's name and number down.
Okay.
He was pretty cool on the phone with me in general. I said, I apologize. I didn't really know.
Right.
I'm not a diver. I just thought it was an interesting challenge, as a crime prevention initiative, and told him my little bit story. He's like, and then he apologized to me. He's like, I didn't mean to come off, But he actually didn't feel like he was really that rude or aggressive, but he actually apologized to me. And I said, no, it's fine. I totally understand. And I said, it'd just be interesting in general. So he said to me, you need permits. Now, he did also say one thing to me, which is very interesting. He said that there's over 100 barrels that are inside Lake Mead. Since 1930, when they built Lake Mead, there are over 100 barrels. And I'm like, what are inside the barrels? Now, he said to me, I think oil drums. I think that's what it would be considered, like barrels, oil drums.
Okay.
In my mind, I was thinking maybe there's oil inside. But I guess in 1935, instead of them moving stuff, they probably put things in oil drums and sealed it up, I guess, and just left it there and just poured water all over it. Lake Mead's huge.
Right.
I don't know what they were thinking back then. You would think that, hey, like we shouldn't be leaving stuff in this lake that we just built. Like what kind of oil barrels are you leaving inside? Like what is the stuff? I'm assuming it's equipment or leftover. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I was at Boulder Beach in Boulder City. We went there for my daughter's graduation. We spent time on the beach. I found 2 barrels there that were just filled with concrete. Okay, so my guess is they used them years ago maybe to hold docks down, to keep docks in place, because now they use these big concrete things, but maybe they use them for docks, something to put things underneath the lake, stuff like that, hold them in place. That's my guess.
Got it.
Just how I looked at it, because it had a chain on it, it had a rope on it. So when I found these barrels full of concrete, that's what they had on them.
So this is very interesting. So I spoke to one of the attorneys, and they told me that the Freedom of Information Act, that they have about 15 days that if we submit, there's no map online in regards to showing me barrels and GPS. And they also said there's tons of barrels that are probably not on the map.
Right.
So the thought process was to complete the Information Freedom, what is it? Information Freedom Act?
Freedom Act, yeah.
And submit requesting the map of all the barrels.
Right.
Which sounds kind of crazy, because not like I'm going down to check on every barrel.
And Dave,
but it would be interesting just to see, right? I mean, if it's public, it should be transparent, right?
yeah, I mean, I had to deal with that before being in charge of our detective division. We would get letters for information, like they'd want our complaints, how many complaints we got on certain things people would do. So I got this information letter a lot from people requesting stuff from the police department. And they usually give you like 20 days, 30 days, you got to submit it, or a reason why you can't submit what they're asking for. So I think it's definitely a good thing that we could do. But the only thing about Lake Mead is, and a lot of people don't realize it, it's federal land, so you can't take anything out of there. You can't use a metal detector. Say you're using a metal detector and you find something, you take something, you can't. It's totally illegal to use a metal detector or take anything from Lake Mead. It's federal land. It's theirs. You can't take a rock out of there. You know what I mean?
I think the two things that we should do is I think we got to go down to the Mob Museum to talk with people over there.
Yes.
I think we should contact Lake Mead and see like who's in charge of all this stuff. Do the Freedom of Information Act just to see about the barrels. I think it's interesting because I don't think the public knows about it.
Right.
And anyway, the challenge basically still continues in general, but I guess we'll just see in regards to the feet, you know, how many feet it will go lower. And then I was actually thinking that we should go out and take a little bit of a boat ride just to see what's going on there.
I definitely want to do that.
And then the marina in general. All right. So the other thing is, you know, we've gotten a lot of phone calls in regards to, believe it or not, different companies, production companies that were saying, hey, you know, we really like the Problem Solver show. It was on TV. A lot of this, basically the whole barrel thing has gotten a lot of
publicity.
Yeah. I would say it still has legs.
Yes.
And the bottom line is people are still calling me all the time. So the thought process was some of the production companies were saying, hey, we should go out and interview the people that they think that about whose body that may be.
Right.
And we got about 8 or 10 phone calls to Problem Solver show here. And the thought process was that myself and you would go out, kind of like a cold case, you know, squad. And the thought process was to try to solve some of these cold cases by interviewing people and then presenting it to the public, maybe a reenactment with actors, and see if people can solve the actual crime. So one of the concepts I came up was to create another show, which would be more for TV, not as a podcast TV, and call it Las Vegas Crime Solvers.
Right.
And I came up with this a long time ago for some reason. I guess I was always connected with Crime Stoppers. Like, you know, you have Crime Stoppers in Pennsylvania, okay? So in every state, people don't know there's Crime Stoppers, which is reward money for tips to lead to an arrest or I think it was just arrest, not always conviction. I think it changes.
Right.
So there is always reward money for tips. But I will share with you, I don't think people kind of mention the number. I don't think people really remember the number. They always mention Crime Stoppers. I think it's great. The program is great in general. I just don't think they're as active as they should be.
Right.
And I think they're not being creative. And they're normally business people that are part of the board. The goal is, I think that for us to have a show called the Las Vegas Crime Solvers, I happen to get the domain, phone numbers, and stuff like that. And some of these different production companies are very interested with us going out and like interviewing and basically doing like a TV show cold case. With that being said, I've kind of been working a little bit behind the scenes. I kind of mentioned to you a little bit. One of the things we came up with some of the badges, and I wanted to present some badges that people that actually watch the show today, let us know what your thoughts are. So if you look at the screen, there's 3 different badges. Right. And if you look at the badges, they all basically say Las Vegas Crime Solvers. And on the first badge on the top left, it's more like an eagle situation. It says detective. It does say retired because it's, you know, Danny, you'd be a retired detective. Right. And you're not active. It's not really an active investigation. You're really interviewing more of a reporter, right? Like,
yeah, we're investigative reporters.
Investigative reporters.
Right.
So the badge actually says retired.
Right. Whether
it's detective or myself. To me, I've always felt I was more, you know, I was a patrol officer. And then it says Las Vegas Crime Solvers. One of the phone numbers that we have is 702 Justice, right? Because the goal is to get justice for people. And it says cold case, I believe, investigator on the top. The second one is what I call more of a celebration badge. I'm not so big into that one specifically. It looks a little too much. And the third one looks like kind of a Las Vegas Metro badge, which I think...
Yeah, I don't think we should do that.
I think for this one, it's a little... I've never been really big with the whole... To me, it's like it looks like a sheriff's badge.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit different. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but on the Metro type of badge, the bottom, what do you call it, spoke, is actually, you see how it's like clear, empty?
Yeah.
I guess they're saying that's specifically meant for when cold cases, they don't fill that one.
Okay.
When you're I didn't know about. Did you know about that at all?
No.
So that's what they told me, the badge company. So I asked them to make one more badge, which is more like an LAPD badge, which is a little bit different, which is what I kind of had in Henderson. Like, it kind of looked like a LAPD badge.
Right.
I'm not sure what your badge looked like. It was more New York City kind of?
No, our badge looked like LAPD.
Oh, did it really? Okay.
Yeah. Our badge looked almost exactly like LAPD.
Got it. So we're going to do a survey. We're going to put it on the problemsolver.vegas. We're going to do a little bit of a survey of what badge that people like, and we'll take like a survey. But I think we'll wait for more of the LAPD one just to see what that looks like. But I think it'd be really cool to basically have, a show called the Las Vegas Crime Solvers and solve crimes. What are your thoughts in regards, like, it's being creative in regards to a show like this? Because it's kind of taking Crime Stoppers on another level, because you can do reenactment and showcase. It could be a certain car, it could be a certain person, right? I mean, right now, the whole Lake Mead situation, there's about 8 or 10 people that would come on the show, and they would literally tell the story of what happened to their family member. But the only thing they don't know is if that body's in Lake Mead. They would tell a story about a family member that never came back, a little bit of reenactment, and then sharing it on TV, and then asking for the community to help solve the crime, and then put reward money on that specific episode or that specific crime that took place.
Right.
What's your take? Any creative ideas? What do you take on that?
This is my take on it. This is going to open up a lot for the community. We are going to solve cases by this. Because what happens, Dave, and you know this in police work, different cases come in every day, so stuff gets put aside. Especially if they have no other leads and everything, it goes into a folder, it goes into another drawer, because more cases are coming in, more murders are coming in, more this is. We can keep light on these cases that are dark in a door somewhere. We can bring light back to these cases, and it's huge. Think of family members, and I'm going to be honest with you. I put something on Facebook about this today, and I had a guy call me about his sister that was murdered. He was a cop with me. His sister was murdered 20 years ago.
Okay.
No one has ever been arrested for it. At first, they thought it was a suicide. Then they did a coroner's inquest, and the coroner's inquest said it was homicide. He called me when he heard we were doing this show, and honestly, he was almost in tears. Please get me on this show. I want to bring my sister's case up again, because it's been in that dark door. People forgot about it, okay? We can bring people... cases that have never been solved. People have never had closure. We could bring closure for these people. This is huge. I'm so excited about this, Dave.
What's your take, though? I mean, we're calling it Las Vegas Crime Solvers, and they're in a different state. Does it really make a difference?
I don't think it does. I really don't.
I guess you're just sharing.
You're sharing. And people, here's the thing. People think cops solve cases. Cops don't solve cases. The community solves cases. We need witnesses. We need what people hear. Cops come there, and cops are just, they're note takers. They get there after the fact. It's the community that solves the cases. Without the community, 90% of the cases would not be solved. People don't commit crimes in front of the police. It's just a fact. You know, how many times, Dave, did anybody commit a crime in front of you when you were a cop? Not many, right?
So, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, we could do other cities as well in general.
Yeah.
I think the question is doing a news release and opening up to community, saying, hey, if there's anybody that has a crime that they want to be solved, that's, a cold case, and then we would actually offer reward money if the community or someone was to solve that crime. Because remember, solving the crime is different than Crime Stoppers in regards to providing tip money.
Right.
So tip money could be, they just basically will come up with a number, right? They'll say, oh, it's this $500, $1,000. Here we would say, hey, if you're able to solve this crime, it's $2,500.
Right.
It's $5,000, $10,000, $50,000.
Right.
So I think the goal is for us to actually come up with a real number, saying if you solve this crime, you get paid this amount of money.
Right. And Dave, I think we should put it out to the listeners right now. Like, if anybody, you have our email, right? We got an email right on our site, right? If anybody has a case out there that has not been solved here in Las Vegas, contact us. We'll start looking into it, especially if the police have stopped looking into the case. It kind of is a cold case where nothing new has been happening with it, and you want us to bring it to light. Come to the problem solvers. Come to us. We will help you. Email us. That's a great start. Tell us who's missing, what kind of crime it was, whatever it was. Email us. We want to do this. We want to help you. We're here to help you.
So actually, if you go right now, just as the SEP is LasVegasCrimeSolvers.com, it does take you to the Problem Solver app. And it's just a little bit of a section right there. It has to be modified a little bit where we'll have like name, phone information. We'll have to add that information now that you brought up. And this is a good conversation to have because we can modify things. For now, it says, just information. And then we could pull it up actually, if you don't mind, LasVegasCrimeSolvers.com. And as you pull it up, we're going to have my good friend Madison. She's going to help co-host the rest of the show as well. Madison, come on over here. Take a seat over here.
Welcome, Madison.
Madison, this is Danny Miner here.
Hey, Danny.
Hello.
Have a seat right here. Grab a microphone.
Welcome.
Madison's helping out co-hosting today.
We got you on TikTok too. Madison, you're live on TikTok.
Oh, really?
So you know, yes.
Okay.
This is my guru, Danny Miner, who's TikTok. How many followers we got on TikTok?
60,000.
We're at 60,000.
Yeah. 60,000, which is good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Testing 1 2. So you can actually pull in a little bit. The goal is to actually speak really close in there. You can move this as well. So it's not a big, this is your friend, but you kind of have to eat the microphone so we can,
Yeah.
That's how it kind of works.
It is. You got to be right up
So,
close to it.
Matt, is this the first time you're doing a podcast?
Yeah.
I'm your podcast tutor. Mm-hmm. She's my TikTok tutor. Now I'm her podcast tutor. I really have no clue what I'm doing here anyway.
TikTok tutor, right?
It's like a bad dream.
I have
that
no
Chase got me
idea what
involved
I'm
in.
doing on TikTok. I just throw videos out. For some reason, people like me. I have no idea why. I got lucky because I have no idea what I'm doing on TikTok. I just put videos out there.
I feel like it isn't luck. It's like a technique to it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So he had how many before the whole body in the barrel thing? How many?
I had 43,000 followers. When the body came, I went up to 60. So I went up to 17,000 followers.
I don't think we really chat. You know about the whole body in the barrel thing? We talked about that a little bit.
We talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
And I see it on the news.
So basically, to make a long story short, it came up in when they found the body. I made a challenge. Danny thought I was nuts. It was a $5,000 challenge if you find the second body in the barrel. Technically, nobody has found a second body in the barrel as of yet, though a second body was located north of the original body in the barrel, north of that lake area. One was in Hemingway, originally in the barrel, and then north was in Calvo Bay.
Yeah.
So they called me. I don't know if I don't know the story, but they called me and they said, "Hey, we found the body." I said, "Is it in the barrel?" They said, "No." They said, "Where is it?" They said they were digging in the sand and they found the second body. And I said, "Oh, the police did?" They said, "No, we're calling you because we wanted the $5,000." I said, "Well, it has to be a body in a barrel." I mean, it's very specific. I mean,
And you had to be a diver.
I don't know if you've ever done a body in a barrel type of
Right.
challenge. I mean, it's always got to be in the barrel. So this was not in the barrel. But so I feel very closely connected to the second body because these people would not be out there if it wasn't for the $5,000.
Oh, wow.
So I told them, do me a favor. It's a crime scene. Go call 911 now and let them know you found the body. So they called the police and you knew that, right?
Yeah, I knew
Yeah,
that.
they basically called me first.
Yeah.
I should have went out there on lights and sirens.
But Dave, like we talked, I mean, this probably isn't a murder victim, but it still gives a family closure. You know what I mean? If your loved one drowned out there, you would want closure and find the body. Could you imagine that you never found the body of your loved one? It would be horrible. So we did help people. I look at it that way. Or they wouldn't have been looking for that body and they wouldn't have found it.
No, absolutely. So anyway, the challenge still exists, but Madison and I, we haven't chatted a little bit. But anyway, we're just talking about Las Vegas Crime Solvers, which is kind of a new TV show that some people wanted us to do. And we would try to do some reenactments and we would also try to, we just put it out. I guess we're just putting it out today. And I think we should do a news release saying that if anybody has a cold case that they would like us to help solve,
Especially in the Vegas area.
in Vegas area specifically to start,
Or Pahrump, Mesquite.
yeah, anywhere
something close.
anything local in general.
Yeah.
That we would basically have a show to discuss or reenactment of that particular crime, put a reward money out there for anyone to help solve the crime. Now, one thing that's interesting, you mentioned this kind of before. When I used to do like neighborhood watch programs, I would go out and speak in front of 100 people. Right. And I used to tell everybody, it was a good line because people look at me like I'm crazy. I would say, "Hey, everybody, just want to let you know that crime is not a police problem." So they all look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what is this guy's cop in uniform saying crime's not a police problem? Crime is a community problem. We need the people in the community to help solve the crime or prevent crime, right? So you can prevent crime from happening at your home, your property, your house, right? Or if you want to solve a crime, right, you got to call 911, call 311, report things to your neighbor, report things to Crime Stoppers, right, and share information. So it's a really good line. So the goal with the Las Vegas Crime Solvers is to get the community involved to help solve crime by us just bringing up old cold cases and then using a little bit of money to try to, I was about to say fish out, some of the answers of what happened to certain people. Anyways, that's just kind of the update of kind of the new show concept. And some production companies have been calling us saying that they want to take it to another level, and we're in conversation with some different companies.
Okay, cool.
And Madison, we have to find the position for Madison. What could you do?
I don't know.
We have to figure something out.
You could be the one getting the hot tips in and then call us.
This is Madison from the Las Vegas Crime Solvers. How can I help you?
We found the body. It's down here. And then, call the Crime Solvers.
Okay, we're going to role play. Let's see if she can do it. Into the microphone. You have to say, this is Madison with the Las Vegas Crime Solvers. Can I help you?
This is Madison with the Las Vegas Crime Stoppers. How can I help you?
There you go.
And then the person's going to say, I found the body at Lake Mead. Could we have Kohlmeier or Miner there? Could we have them, the Crime Solvers?
Well, they're en route. They're en
route. And then it'll be like Ghostbusters. We'll get in the Charger and go.
Maybe we got to throw on like a Fonzie jacket. She doesn't even know what a Fonzie jacket is. Throw on like a black leather jacket.
Yes.
You put the gun on. You put the Las Vegas Crime Solvers badge on. We take the black Dodge Hellcat. And we drive. We got to probably get a helicopter.
Ooh,
we probably
need
a black helicopter. Chase, do you know? Does John Orlando have a black helicopter?
I think I've got a helicopter guy.
No, we get like a helicopter, and then we take the Hellcat over to like Maverick. We got to hook up with Maverick now.
That's a good idea.
We drop there. Maverick takes us out to Lake Mead. We
That's a good idea.
Hover down, and then we get out. And you say Las Vegas Crime Solvers are here.
Yes.
It sounds funny, but actually, I really do. Chase thinks I'm nuts, but the truth is, it's actually not a bad idea.
This is your best idea so far, I think.
The helicopter?
I like it too.
This whole scenario you just played out, beautiful.
You like it?
I like it a lot.
I like it too.
Here's your Crime Solvers website, by the way.
It's nothing fancy. It's just on the app of the problemsolver.vegas. And I think what we need to do is for now, we need to put in there my good friend Greg Geller, who helps with the apps. I think we need to add like name, information, what type of crime, just a little bit of information people could fill in. I just got to with the domain real quickly. So it's LasVegasCrimeSolvers.com, and it goes to the Problem Solver app, and just a little of a good start as well. And there's also, if you go to the ProblemSolver.Vegas in the top left, I believe now it says reward money. We can go through this real quickly. If you go to the ProblemSolver.Vegas, let's see, what does it say? The top one. I'm trying to look over here.
Got
on my
problems.
App. Got it. All right. So if you ever go to the app in general, the goal is to, if you want to communicate with the Problem Solver Show or myself and Danny, Beja, now Madison. Madison's the lead part of the show these days. So we got problems on the tab. We got in the news. We're doing the Miranda card. We're giving out the Miranda cards, which was one of the last episodes. If people need traffic camera footage, we're helping out with traffic camera footage. There's reward money specifically for tips of crime. We have divers that are interested in going out Lake Mead these days. We're still getting phone calls. So divers, if they want to get involved, they can fill that information out. Crime tips, if they want to surprise, add crime tips, crime solvers for the show. We were still helping out with Ukraine, those nonprofits. We have different events coming up. There's an event coming up June 29th if people want to come out on a Wednesday.
And it's a good event.
A good event, yeah. So
Real good event.
If you want to come out and hang out with the problem solvers.
And the crime solvers. We're both now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're the problem solvers and crime solvers. Swim with us at Top Golf. You'll love it.
Top Golf, 11 to 3 on a Wednesday. Ditch work Wednesday. Are you off June 29th? Come meet Madison.
Wait, what time?
11 to 3?
11 to 3. I could do that maybe.
There you go. Come meet Madison. I like that. It's a good name. So anyway, that's a podcast, social media, resources, homeless information, bail, reviews, a bunch of information. We got it all here. Merchandise, if you want a Problem Solver shirt. All right. So we talked enough about the Las Vegas Crime Solvers. The bottom line is it's going. We're going to see where it's going to go.
It's going to go. It's going to go. I promise you.
Let's jump into a different topic from Madison, because we talked about Madison coming on. We wanted to talk about some different things. I wanted to talk about the topic of like kind of bail reform and what's going on. Something happened, which I'll read the situation to you. You tell me what your thoughts are. I guess here's a good question for you. Do you believe that crime is more rampant in general in Vegas? Do you feel there's more crime? Like, what's your take on what's going on in Vegas?
In Vegas, I would say crime maybe is going up more.
Why do you feel that?
I was talking to one of my friend's dads during like a graduation party, and he was like, someone got robbed at Nordstrom's rack at like gunpoint, and I was like, that's some serious like business. And I'm like, what? I can't walk my dog outside anymore. I can't go to like DTS like for a chill night. Yeah.
So I do believe things are getting a little bit crazy. I mean, a lot of accidents, a lot of people dying. There's a lot more crime. It's just like kind of crazy stuff, you know? I just don't think, and it makes me a little bit nervous because I know New York City kind of changed really badly. And so I guess the question is, how do we solve the problem, right? More cops. It's always, we're going to say more cops, more strategies, more technology, more DNA testing, right? Like, to solve crimes, take people off the street, stuff like that. I want to read what happened to see what your thoughts are here, if I could find it here. There was a case where basically, kind of a crazy story. Let's see here.
This is a real crazy story. Real crazy.
If we can find it here.
That's right. While you're doing
Okay.
Go ahead. You got it?
So basically, the judge releases a woman, but I'm going to read the story to you from the news, and you tell me if you think the person should be released. It says, judge releases woman who poured gas on a Las Vegas detective. This happened June 11th. It says, a woman accused of drenching a Las Vegas police detective in gasoline has been released on her own recognizance. It says that this person was initially held on a $13,000 bail, which is still pretty low. Normally, if it's DUI, domestic battery is about $3,000 to $5,000. She had a second hearing in front of a different judge who allowed her release. Persons facing charges of battery with use of a deadly weapon, which is a felony, where the victim was a first responder, and assault with the use of a deadly weapon. It says the incident happened June 5th around 9 a.m. when the detective was getting gas outside a convenience store. A witness flagged him down, saying a woman was trying to light a fire nearby. The detective found a bottle of gasoline and a lighter. Police say the detective knocked the lighter out of her hand when she tried to light a cigarette. Authorities say that the person poured gasoline directly over the detective's head. The detective described losing his vision and using a radio to call in for help. He feared that she had another lighter and would use it. Witness says the giggling person, probably mentally unstable, continued trying to set things on fire with a cigarette or matches. And they said the police were questioned, wanted to burn the business. So this is a person that wanted to burn the business down, poured gasoline over the detective in general. So my take to you is, as a regular person, citizen in the community, do you think the judge, releasing someone like this is like a safe thing to do?
I don't think that's a smart thing to do at
Why?
all. Because
She seemed very smart.
Obviously, she's mentally like unstable and just not all there. Maybe I would release her to like a psych ward or like to go get her professional help, because maybe like keeping her in like the jail cell is not going to be the most productive thing. But I feel like maybe getting her like some actual help will. But I would not release her to the public, because obviously that's like not cool.
Well, I know, I agree. If you want to put it to like a mental health
agree.
ward or something like that, right? But I don't get why you just release someone like that. They're going to just go back out and go burn something down. Like, I just don't understand why. I understand reform in general, but just to release someone like this that was about to commit a major crime like an arson, why are we letting them out on the street? It doesn't make any sense.
Dave, what we talked about last week we were talking about the active shooters. The people going into schools. Is guns the problem? Is it mental health? This goes to my mental health thing, Dave, and I've always said this. We don't get people help that have mental health. We have a lady here that wants to burn a business down. She threatened to burn a business down. She threatened to light a cop on fire. She poured gasoline on him. And this lady is back on the street right now. Now, we know she's not mentally capable. We know it from the article. But yet they release her. When is this going to stop? We have to get people mental health treatment when they need it. Like you said, maybe not. I agree with you. If somebody has mental health problems, maybe they shouldn't be in jail, but they should be somewhere getting help. It should be court mandated that they get help, and we're not doing that. This judge releasing her. Let me just both. I have to say this for bail. When a judge sets bail, they look at it like, are you going to show up for court? So they ask, do you have family in the area? They're looking to see if you're going to skip. So if you have family in the area, you own a house, you do that, they more likely you're going to come to court. Then the next thing is, are you an endanger to the public? If you are an endanger to the public, they have to take that in consideration. You think somebody trying to light a cop on fire is danger to the public? Somebody trying to light a business? Of course. I will never vote for this judge. Whoever this judge is, we should never vote for them ever. Ever. Because they're putting our community in danger by releasing this lady. And that's my feeling.
And it'll be interesting just to see if anything else happens with this other person, like if they wind up committing another crime,
Right.
or killing somebody, and then you go back to see who that judge was, right?
Right. I mean, and I understand bail reform. I really do. Because the thing with bail reform is only the rich people get out of jail because they could afford the bail, right? Poor people are spending 8 months in jail till their trial comes up, where a rich guy who committed the same crime gets out. So to me, that's not fair. So I understand bail reform. I definitely do.
So how do you change that? Like they used
I don't know.
Well, they used to say that what they're saying right now is that they'll look at the person's previous history.
Right.
So maybe they looked at the previous history. The person never got arrested before. Though they do say, like in regards to arson, that they probably tried it several times before. They just happen to get caught now. They used to talk about that with fire starters. You know, when kids, like if they get caught, they've tried it several times before. They just never got caught.
Right.
And then, you know, so I forgot what the number was. There's some statistic. Like if you've been trying arsons, you've done it before, but you just never got caught with it. Maybe something, smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Charring items or, you know, something.
I agree.
What do you think in regards to letting people out? What's your take on that? You don't have to be, you know, an expert on this stuff. Just your opinion. Like, do you believe that?
And it's good to have a younger person's opinion because me and Dave are old. So we were born in a different generation than you. So you have a better opinion on, you know, what's going on right now.
Okay, so you're asking me what I feel about like this judge's opinion, or
just in general. I mean, do you feel that I always say more when I describe certain communities, I'll say urban community, because a poor area could be white, it could be black, it could be Spanish. It doesn't matter what the race and religion may be. So I'll just say urban areas. So do you believe in the urban areas, people that are poorer? Is it right that someone that's really wealthy that has money can get out of jail and the other person has to stay? Doesn't sound right in general. So I guess what's your take? Because someone like this maybe got released. Well, they got released with no money, no bail, right? So this is an unusual story. I guess just what's your take? Because a lot of cities are basically doing reform. They're just letting people out. You get arrested, you get released, you have a court date.
You're just outsies.
Yeah.
Like, boom. Well, I feel like in regard to the more wealthy people in jail and they can be released because they have that type of like cash and capital behind, I feel like maybe they should be put in longer around everybody else so they can feel like the wrath of their, you know, consequence of what they did. But I also feel like maybe the people in the urban areas shouldn't, or maybe should have like different stipulations, because the only people who are getting out, being able to live their life, go back to their job and support their life, like maybe the reason why they're in there in the first place is, or committing these criminal activities is because of the situation that they're in already. So, you know what I mean? Like someone stealing, they could be, you know, in those urban areas, they can't afford to get out. So they're just kind of stuck in this loop. So maybe give a different, you know, maybe not bail, but like a different consequence to them being in that place.
I totally agree with you. And I'm going to take a quote from Tupac Shakur, okay? He says in one of his songs, "I never committed a crime I didn't have to commit." And that means theft because he was broke, he was whatever. He had to commit the crime to survive, okay? I agree with you. Somebody that commits theft, somebody that commits a non-violent crime, there should be no bail. They should be released. A non-violent crime, we are holding up the jails for non-violent crime. Somebody that steals something at the store should not be in jail.
By the way,
that's just my opinion.
Our number one listener is actually a gentleman named Steven Linzer, and he's actually our number one fan. And he basically stated there's no consequences anymore in regards to basically, you know, committing criminal activity. It's one of his messages that he just said. So the bottom line is, do you believe there's no consequences? Do you believe that people can do whatever they want to do?
I'm just speaking from personal experience. I've seen people with lots of money commit a terrible crime and just get away with it, and they feel nothing about it. They feel no remorse. They're like, you know what, I paid my way through this and it is what it is. I'm not in trouble. I'm not responsible. It's kind of like psychotic.
Listen, I'm glad you brought that up. Deshaun Watson. Are you guys football fans at all? Deshaun Watson is a famous quarterback in the National Football League. Okay? He played for the Texans. Now the Texans traded him to Cleveland. The reason the Texans traded him to Cleveland, 66 women. Let me repeat that for TikTok and the world. 66 women accused him of sexual assault. 66. And the man is making $120 million a year. Now, is that fair? Dave, if one girl said you sexually assaulted her, you'd be arrested. This man has 66 women. I don't think 66 women are lying, and this man's out of jail. How is he not charged? It makes me sick. And it goes to people that are rich. People that are rich Let me tell you this. If you had a sexual assault trial or a murder trial, your trial, because we don't have a lot of money, our trial would last days. Our rich people, their trial lasts 8 months. Johnny Depp in his case just now. Their trials last 8 months. We don't have money to pay an attorney for 8 months. So is the justice system fair? No, it's not fair to poor people. It's we give rich people get out of it because they have money. And that's the fact. And let's all be honest here. That's the fact. And we got to clear that up. Why should a rich person not be charged with a crime, but a poor person be charged?
All right. So one of the things I just want to show you something. We're going to watch a TV screen in a minute, and Chase is going to pull up a thing. You know, you're going to laugh at this because you haven't seen this, but there's a new way that police officers can give tickets to prevent.
I saw it.
Are you sorry?
A robot.
And did I send it to you? No.
No, but I seen it on Facebook.
Okay. So I'm going to show this to Madison now, and we're going to ask her, is this going to be the way of solving so we don't have to have officers basically getting killed
shooting,
or, you know, things being very drastic. Now, it's kind of very, very interesting. So let's play the video. Madison's going to watch, and she's going to critique how this is going to play out in the real world.
Dangerous interactions between people. Maybe it's time to send a robot in between them. One that can't hurt or be hurt. This police robot allows officers to interact with the driver from their car and even deploys spikes to prevent the driver from speeding away. The robot is equipped with a camera, microphone, and a printer that dispenses the ticket. According to the Institute, the next generation prototype will feature stowing at the front of the car, access to both driver and passenger windows, and will have the ability to be operated from outside the police car via a mobile app.
That's cool, though.
It's cool, but you know, it's crazy. When I was younger, my mom would always tell me, like, I'd be scared. Not scared, but I didn't want to put my seatbelt on. And she was like, you know what? I can get a ticket because they know every time you're in there, they weigh it. So that kind of brought me back to that. That's what I was thinking.
They weigh the car?
Yeah. But I feel like that is not, you know what I mean? People are smart. They're not dumb. They're going to get out of this. Like,
I can see that if there was like an Inglewood, that robot, they would like take down the robot. They would start like ripping the robot in half.
Yeah, I mean, like people can take the boot off your car. What is this robot going to do?
It's kind of funny because they're saying a passenger side. Could you imagine? They'd be like, imagine like it was like 4 robots because there's passengers in the back.
Oh my
there's like
God.
There's 4 robots looking into your car and then just like take over. It's kind of like the Terminator, like you come in the front. But it is very interesting. I mean, the thing with it is this: if someone drives away and it does like the spikes or something like that, that's interesting.
That is.
They got the license plate. You know, it's actually very interesting too. They could actually put deploy like a GPS dart, you know, on the actual car.
Oh my gosh.
So it gets very advanced. I mean, the truth is, now what happens if they get out and run? You know, I guess they're going to break the robot, but I guess you have video of them and you have the license plate deploys. Right? Probably could. It's very interesting.
It is.
It's got to be very expensive though.
It's got to be. I don't know if police department, small police departments wouldn't be able to afford it. You know what I mean?
I guess it depends how cheap it is.
I feel like it'd be a waste of money. Like there's better use of money. This technology could go toward literally anything else.
It just seems weird to have like a robot in front of every police car. They just driving around.
Yeah, it's weird. It definitely.
Chase, what do you think? You laughing?
I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, it would be so much. I think it's safer actually, for everyone, because like a lot of the thing is like, think about like all the situations in which like someone gets shot by a police officer or like a police officer gets shot by somebody.
Yeah.
It's because a police officer went to their window.
Yes.
If you just completely take that whole part out of it, then
the problem with it is most of these people, if they have warrants or if they're like DUI, you still have to confront them.
Right.
Like for the traffic ticket, it's one thing, right?
Right.
But how do you know if the person's like you're going through a robot, whether or not the person's DUI or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, eventually,
what if they're drunk?
I mean, it's great just to give out tickets. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad for the initial, right? But how do you know if they're drunk? How do you smell alcohol? You know,
maybe the robot will.
Yeah, the breathalyzer on it. We like blow.
They'll probably say that it's like they'll probably say it's like Big Brother, like you have like a camera or it's smelling.
Yeah.
Like could you imagine that? It'd be interesting to look at a criminal defense attorney what they would say about that.
Why do you say Big Brother? Like everyone has an iPhone, so everyone,
Well, there's lobbyists that fight right now. So there's different traffic cameras throughout, Las Vegas, right? But they're not allowed to record. It's actually a live feed of traffic, but it doesn't record. A lot of people don't know that. Did you know that?
No.
It doesn't record. Now, there's a few private companies, and we're actually one of them that we're hooked up with a network. And the bottom line is that the cameras, private citizens are recording the live footage on live feeds on the internet, like in the cloud. But actually, the state and the city is not allowed to record because it's kind of Big Brother. They're saying like what I do at the red light, I want to pick my nose, that it's like my own private area, like you're invading my space.
Right.
And there's lobbyists that fight that because, right, it's like the Big Brother. You don't want cameras all over the place watching you.
I get the fighting of that, but if you're really trying to fight Big Brother, then like get rid of your phone, get rid of your Alexa, get rid of all these things. This little camera isn't gonna, it's not gonna be life altering, groundbreaking to anything.
But if you're a criminal, you wouldn't want that.
Okay, if I was a criminal, then I would be smarter.
Like I said, I mean, people are fighting for rights. It's like the same thing. Like, do you feel that we should take away people's guns because crazy people are using some guns?
Absolutely.
So you think we should take away guns from everybody?
100%.
There's the topic. There we go. So I always say when we do the hour podcast, because we gotta, we eventually, do the production for TV. I always laugh like, what is the topic for TV sometimes, right? So there you got it. So tell me, you're saying take away guns from people. Do we go door to door where you take away guns from people?
Well, I think.
How does that look in your eyes?
How does it look in my eyes? I feel like you should surrender your guns for the betterment of, your community around you. Like, do a little inventory check and get rid of it. There's needs to be a stop. Like, there's innocent people being murdered by these psychopaths every single day.
But because it's mentally ill people, like, why could people lose their right to bear arms? And it's their right.
I feel like for the sake of human people, like, you can sacrifice that.
The problem is we're too far. Like, there's how many millions of guns are in America?
I heard somewhere like 400 million guns.
I mean, there's so many guns, like people wouldn't give them up.
I feel,
It's like, I know in Australia, people were saying like in Australia they went like lockdowns because they had no fire, like some weird things. But there's millions and millions of guns. No one's going to give it up. They would hide their guns. There would be guns out there, in general. And then the truth is the bad people are always the ones that have guns. The good people are the ones that actually would be the ones having issues. People with mental health is the other issue, right? People that have like in upstate New York and in Texas, these people are mentally unstable. Mm-hmm. I mean, why can't we increase mental health evaluations or money or funding and not take away the guns? Because I need the gun to protect myself against crazy people.
I totally agree. You should protect yourself. And I agree that there needs to be more, mental health professionals out there to combat this wave of insane people. But with that same token, I feel like we should maybe have stricter gun laws because I was talking to my dad lives in Texas, and he was like, anybody can go get a gun. I was talking to one of my friends. He was like, my dad gifted me this gun. And I was like, you probably shouldn't have a gun because it's kind of crazy. And I'm like, this is insane. This is what like the whole problem is. Like anybody has access to it. There is no anybody. There's nothing stopping it. And I agree. Maybe it's hard to like get rid of these millions of guns in place, but like what are we gonna do? Like you're not gonna really protect yourself. There's not gonna be a second like you're gonna go boom and you can kill them. Like how many people has that ever happened where someone miraculously has a gun and can shoot an active shooter? It like never happens unless there's police officers around and they already know it's happening. People are already dying. Like what are we going to do?
I like this. She has a different take than us. That's what we need. Me and Dave are more pro-gun.
It's not like I'm a gun guy in general. Just,
me neither.
The problem is just, at this point in time, we're like America is so... They say the reason why we were never invaded by Russia and other places because we have so many guns, everybody would protect themselves because they have a firearm. But like in Ukraine, like they're giving out guns now. It's a little too late. When you're going to war with Russia... They're like, oh, let's give out guns. In America, you don't need to give out guns anymore. Everyone's got a gun. We're ready to go. Russia can come here. We're ready. Everyone's got a gun. Everyone's got a shotgun. Now, I will say this. I can understand for an assault rifle, like, especially now they're trying to make it age 21. That's fine. 21, 23, that's fine. Unless maybe there's an exception maybe for military, if you're police, right? Like different exceptions.
I think even a safety course, you should be mandated to
certification,
take a safety course.
classes.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like it should be like an intense, like rigorous, like background check. People who become lawyers that practice law have to go through your undergrad. That's 4 years. Then you have to study for the LSAT. Then you have to go through law school. Then you have to pass the bar test. These are all things just to practice law.
They're changing that now, right? Too. It's like you don't even need like a law degree. I think it's California and Arizona. Like things.
Well, you have to get your undergrad, and then there's the baby bar for people who. Several, lawyers have to vouch for you, but still, you have to go through.
Actually, things are even changing more than that because what happens is they're saying that the urban socioeconomic groups that can't afford attorneys So now there's people that you can like represent other people. I don't get the whole story of it, but California, Utah, Arizona, because again, the wealthy are the only ones that can really afford attorneys. So there's other people that want to practice law. There's new ways of doing it. I didn't get into the whole details, but it's being reformed as well. Just because the wealthy people can afford lawyers and people that don't have money cannot afford those attorneys.
Right.
For other things in general. So if other people have the knowledge and the experience, somehow they're able to practice law. Things are changing and evolving. Long story short, you feel there needs to be gun reform in general. But the problem is that someone comes to your home and wants to hurt you, you're going to be like, oh my God, I need a gun. I should have been protecting myself. I need something.
I feel that, but what am I going to do? Like what? I won't have training. So like, let's say I do have a gun. I have no training. I don't even know how to use it. How am I going to protect myself?
Danny Mine is your new trainer. He'll be training you Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I agree. I only own 2 guns. That's all I own. I actually returned my gun when I stopped being a cop and everything. I have not shot a gun in 6 years, honestly. So I'm not a gun guy. I don't carry one on me ever, but I do have one in my house. The only thing that I see is, and me and Dave seen this more, most of these guns are bought illegally. So they're not going to Walmart. They're not going to Dick's Sporting Goods. They're not going to Sportsman Warehouse. They're actually buying the illegal gun on the street. How do we stop that?
And that's because there's millions of guns that are out there.
Right.
So even if all the good people are like, all right, let's give our guns. We agree with Madison here. The bad guys are like, forget it. Madison's coming. Let's hide our gun. The bad guys are not going to like, oh, let's give our gun. This is a great idea. Madison thinks we should,
I saw a meme the other day. It was a perfect meme for this. It said, the guy leans over and goes, we going to do that drive-by tonight? And the guy says, oh, I can't. I'm waiting for my background check to come back from the gun laws. They're not going to stop a drive-by because they're waiting for the gun, background check. They're going to go buy an illegal gun on the street. But I understand that it's a combination of both. And I agree with you guys because you're giving somebody a loaded gun and they're not trained to handle it. So I totally get your point because me and Dave...
training.
Here's the thing. When we become cops, we train so much on our gun that we have a muscle memory. Do you ever hear of muscle memory? That's just something you do because your brain knows it. My finger never goes in the trigger because we were taught that. Anytime I grab a gun, now I told you I haven't shot a gun in 6 years, I grab that gun, you'll see my finger. It's never, ever in the trigger because we were taught that. And I agree with you, other people aren't. That's why you have these, shootings in the homes that somebody was shot innocent. So I agree. We can do gun reform, but have like a class everybody should take. Some kind of safety class. You should prove that you have a safe at home for the gun. You know what I mean? Something like that. I agree.
All right. So I think we kind of discussed this topic today. I mean, it's a hard situation in general. It's a tough one.
It is.
Mental health is hard. Guns is hard in general. Anyway, I think we covered a bunch of different topics. The bottom line is if anybody out there watching The Problem Solver or listening audio, if they have certain topics, if you want to become a guest, you can go to theproblemsolver.vegas. There's a spot if you want to become a guest to come on the show. We're definitely interested in having good people come on the show to share their opinion, ideas, suggestions. It could be about real estate. It could be about mortgages. If you've got a topic that you want to share, with the community, you think that you could help solve problems with us, I definitely urge anyone that wants to come on the show. Our number one fan, Stephen Linz, I keep telling him to come on the show. Even if you want to rant about something, and we could discuss it. I mean, it'd be any interesting topics.
I want to meet Steve. You show me some of his. He is our number one fan.
He's listening right now. He needs to come.
Steve, I see the comments. I love them, man. Keep them coming. I love them.
He needs to come on the show, and he needs to have all line items.
Right.
And we go through each one of them. A lot of them are the same thing. It's like, this is life. You know what I'm saying? That's really the answer to most of them. That in life, it's not a perfect situation. If you move to Nebraska, I'm sure in Nebraska, it's the same nonsense. Wherever you have less people, you're going to have less issues, right? So you pick a spot like Vegas, it's still, if you came here years ago, right, maybe it was less than 1 million people. Now there's like 2 million, 2.5 million.
Yeah.
More people, more crime, more problems.
Yep.
Can't solve everything. You're not going to be able to change everybody. And everybody in Vegas is from somewhere else in general. So, but the bottom line is, Madison, I do appreciate you coming here, helping co-host and sharing your opinion.
Awesome.
Danny, thanks so much as usual. Every single week, the goal is having on the Problem Solver is to help solve problems, talk about different issues in general, coming up with some solutions in general. Today, I think the Las Vegas Crime Solvers is helping people cold cases, having a show, helping people solve that. So that's one of the problems that we're trying to solve, is doing something different, because the only thing that exists right now in Las Vegas is Crime Stoppers of Nevada, which is, again, personally, I've been around. I've been working with them. I think it's a great organization. I just think they could be doing a little bit more reenactment, more money being used. So I think the Las Vegas Crime Solvers will help kind of solve that problem of cold cases and offering money to help solve cases in general. And then in regards to the DNA, we're going to follow up, see what happens with the bodies in general, see what happens in Lake Mead. We're going to keep sharing the story of what's going on, giving people the update around the world in regards to that. And bail reform and gun reform, these are all things that are going to take place over time. Hopefully this woman that basically tried to light the cop on fire, to light people on fire. Hopefully the next judge, if there's any judges listening, let's just be realistic.
Let's use common sense.
Yeah.
How about that,
Especially
Judge?
if one judge basically says no, overrides the second judge, and who knows exactly why.
Right.
So anyway, I want everybody out there, again, on the Problem Solver to be really careful, be safe. Keep an eye on your neighbor. Call the police, 911 if there's an emergency, 311 for non-emergency. If you have a problem, accident, injury, any type of help that you need, you can call the Problem Solver here at 702-999-1111. Again, 702-999-1111. I'm David Kohlmeier, the Problem Solver, and be safe. We'll see you next week.